Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Drag Illustrated's The Racing Business with me, Jason Dukes. Again, the goal of this show is to inspire, to educate, to motivate, and talk about some of the biggest racing business personalities and some of the biggest stories and the people behind the stories in motorsports and specifically drag racing. This week we have Buddy Hull, Top Fuel Driver, team owner, Buddy Hull Racing, also owner and proprietor of a company called Vertex Roofing and Contracting. And so Buddy today is going to tell us about his life story, both in business and racing, and again, help to inspire, to educate, to motivate you here on Drag Illustrated's The Racing Business. So let's go ahead and bring in this week's guest, Buddy Hull. Buddy Hull, what's up, brother?
Jason, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to being here, man. And as you mentioned, I love telling my story and hope to inspire others.
Awesome. So this show is actually airing on Monday after Vegas. So you're going to be in Vegas. So whatever results happen, just to let everybody know, just logistically, we shot the show a couple days before the Vegas Nationals. So hopefully we should be here celebrating a Buddy Hull win. But if that happens, you'll get why we're not. But I guess why don't you just quickly tell us about what you have planned for Vegas, which obviously this will air afterwards, but so that people can compare and contrast.
So a couple things about Vegas. First of all, we've actually elected to pull out of Vegas because we are building a brand new race car and we are kind of reinventing our old race car. So we're going to front half it, back half it, put new wings on it, new body on it, and kind of make it a brand new race car. So we've elected to put our time and our efforts actually into building our program for 2024. I'll still be in Las Vegas, but I will not be sitting in the seat of my race car.
Good deal. And how about Pomona then, or is everything done for the year?
Same thing. Yeah, we just kind of, we fulfilled all of our sponsorship agreements for the season. We were going to Las Vegas and going to Pomona to learn more, collect more data, and be competitive. But we really started to look at our time versus the way we could best spend our time and money. It just made sense to go ahead and pull out and put all of our efforts into getting ready for 2024.
Okay. Well, we'll actually talk about that a little bit then when we get into the business of racing, because that is a conversation that most team owners and drivers and teams, have to come to grips with at some point and just figure out what's best for the long run. So just tell us about the current program that you have, the current team, the current car.
Yeah, we're super satisfied with our performance in Dallas. We tried a lot of things at one time that we've been wanting to try all year. The changes we made were what I want to call, hey, just make them all at once type changes rather than do what we've done all year, which is make slight changes here and there. And we didn't yield the results we were looking for. And so Mike and I had a conversation about our approach going into Dallas, and we said, you know what? We're just going to do it. We're going to make all the changes we've ever wanted to make them all at once, which is something you just normally don't do on a Top Fuel car. And we did it, and we got some pretty incredible results. We had tested the Wednesday before, and we got exactly what we wanted, which was the data that we needed to see if our assumptions and our ideas were going to work. And lo and behold, they worked. The car showed a really, really, really positive response to the changes we made. And we basically left it alone at that point. We just made all those changes at once. And, we listened to the racetrack, and we listened to the environment around us, meaning the water grains and the barometer and the adjusted altitude. And we made adjustments off of that. But, the car basically responded really well to our changes. We were able to end our season on a positive note with 2 back-to-back career bests. We went a first round against Steve Torrance. We went a 73 at 324 miles an hour for a career best. And you can't even get mad at that. Of course, you always want to win first round and you want to win the race. But, whenever you get beat by someone that runs a 66 and you run a 73, you can't get mad at it. All you can say is, you know what? We may not have won the war, but we won that battle. And that battle sometimes is more against your own race car and with achieving your own personal goals. And we know we're just moving forward. The world has heard me say it 100 times. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for the long haul. And so our goal every time we go out is to find a way to improve, find things that we did wrong, never make those mistakes twice, and continue to build our program. And Mike Luger has been a great great part of helping me achieve those goals.
Right, and we'll get to some of the other partners, but you had an awesome partner just in Dallas at Texas. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came about?
Down Syndrome Partnership in North Texas was undoubtedly a blessing. For us to be able to partner up with them and raise money to help those folks that are in need of it was awesome. The partnership came about through really just connections that I have here locally. Last year, we raised money for breast cancer awareness, and a gentleman that had helped us through that process and donated money to that organization came to me this year and he said, "Hey, buddy, things have changed for me in the last year. I'm now on the board of the Down Syndrome Partnership in North Texas, and we really want to do something with you for Dallas." And I said, "Okay, well, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it big." And through that conversation, because that's how I do things.
Right.
And through that conversation, I learned that October is actually Down Syndrome Month, Down Syndrome Awareness Month, just as it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They share that in common. No one really, in the racing community has done a Down syndrome race car, and I also enjoy being different and being unique. And so it was a pretty simple conversation we had. And like I said, when I do it big. And I said, well, let's do it. Let's do a full wrap. Let's really go all out. Let's push hard for these folks, and let's do something great. And we did, and it was a blessing. And we're still working on it. We still have people donating on a daily basis, and we're still getting feedback. And I still get texts and emails from people of family members that those who have Down syndrome thanking us, and it's really neat. It's cool to be able to use the marketing machine that we have to promote a really positive cause and earn money for those folks. I'm blessed to be able to do it.
Gotcha. Well, let's use the marketing machine that we have here. How can people donate?
Buddy Hole Racing, Facebook, Buddy Hole 323 Instagram, Buddy Hole 323 TikTok. You'll find QR codes and you'll find links. And all you got to do is use the QR code or use the link, click the button, goes right to the Down Syndrome Partnership North Texas landing page, and you can donate there. You can donate $100, $1, $1 million, and anything in between you want. Whatever you feel that you could put towards helping those in need with Down syndrome would be a blessing.
Gotcha. Now tell us about Vertex Roofing and General Contracting. Where is it at today?
Well, we're moving and shaking, to say the least. We are really turning into a construction roofing company. We're blessed with some big projects coming up, such as building veterans homes and working with some local and some national food chains to help them in remodeling of facilities and building some brand new ones. We work a lot of multifamily jobs, and we keep those properties up to snuff for the people renting those condos and those apartments. So along with doing residential roofing, but we're certainly growing. I'm blessed with incredible leadership in my company, and it's allowed us to grow at the rate we've grown at. And we're not stopping anytime soon. Just like NHRA Top Fuel Driving, I'm just as passionate about Vertex, and my passion will always lead to working hard and doing whatever it takes to be successful in the categories that I choose to be successful in. So we're super blessed here at Vertex. I'm here at the office right now. I just wrapped up my Monday meetings, and I'm blessed to be able to shift gears and hop on with you, Jason, and talk about drag racing and Vertex and all this other cool stuff. It's all a blessing, man.
Awesome. So that's where everything is as of today. So let's go all the way back, because we have a lot of things to cover here. We have Buddy Hole the racer, Buddy Hole the entrepreneur, even Buddy Hole the power lifter, right?
Yeah.
And then some other things also. So just tell us about let's go for the journey, and while we go on the journey, talk about some of the biggest business and life lessons that you learned along the way. Where did it all start?
Well, I come from very humble roots. I'm from Central Illinois, and I was raised in an environment to understand and know what it's like to work hard. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a truckload dispatcher. My grandfather, he was a shop foreman at a Ferris wheel company, and everyone else in my family just very blue collar and had to work really hard to be able to survive and to be able to provide. And so I was raised watching my family work really hard to be able to live. And I'm thankful for those roots. And within that, I come from a car family, both sides of my family. My mother's father, he passed away last fall,
Oh, my
and it hurt me
condolences.
because, he used to take me to all these car shows and just kind of drag me all over the country, if you will, when I was a little kid. I sat in, the seat of the 34 Ford, the 33 Ford, the 50 Mercury, all that stuff. And my grandpa was really kind of a street rod and show car guy. And then, the other side of my family is with my dad and my uncle. They were racing guys, right? They were race car guys. So, that's where those roots come from. That's where my passion towards, automotive comes from. And, in my hometown, there kind of wasn't much to do. And so at early childhood, I found that being an athlete, specifically a strength athlete, was something that kind of fit my role. When I was growing up, my best friend's father, he had some rental properties. And, he and I, my best friend and I would push mow the lawns for him. And I
Mhm.
remember it was summer of 91 or 92. I was a young kid. And I was able to pick up a lawnmower and set it in the back of a Chevy Cheyenne all by myself. And I remember him saying, and I'll leave out the cuss words, but man, you're strong. That's okay. Whatever that means, I didn't know. And then I started to figure it out, right? That I had some abnormalities in terms of the strength side of athleticism. And I caught into that real quick. And I started working out at a really young age, and that led to a powerlifting career. But I've kind of never changed. I've kind of always been the same guy. I want to say I've gotten better at life. I've learned a lot of hard lessons. Most of them are self-taught, but I'm always kind of been the same guy. I've always been into, cars and anything that has a steering wheel or handlebars. I love BMX bikes when I was growing up too. It's one thing I did growing up is, in a small town, what do? Well, you ride BMX bikes, you play football, you play basketball, and you beat each other up. And then every now and again you play Mario Brothers, right?
Right,
That's what
right.
we did. You know what I'm
Invent
saying?
games, invent
That's what we
games. So
did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I've kind of just always been the same guy. I've kind of never gone through a big reinvention of myself. I've just always been into cars and working out and working hard, and that's what I do. And so in my life, I've allowed those hobbies to turn into careers, and it's been a blessing. I've been driving race cars now for 16 years. It's almost 17 years, and started with what I would consider nothing, right? And just kept working and working and working towards where I'm at now. And it's all a blessing. And along the way, I've had so many really cool people and unique people help me get there. And if I made a list of those people who helped me get where I'm at, I don't know if I could even do it. There's so many of them. I mean, it would take me days of thinking about it and looking at pictures and going back and just pulling up these memories in my mind to thank the people that have helped me, because there's just too many of them. So if you're listening and you've helped me, just know that I'm thankful for you, even if I don't mention you in an interview now or in a podcast or article or whatever. I'm still thankful, because the list is just, my God, it's a mile long. And
Right.
a lot of those people, unfortunately, aren't even on this planet anymore that have helped me. People that instilled work ethic in me when I was a kid, and helped me do things automotively when I was a kid, and then in racing and all the stuff. So I'm very thankful, guy. I try to do my best to always recognize those people who've helped me along the way, and give back when I can give back, just like I did with the Down Syndrome Partnership in North Texas. I do find ways to always give back. So
Gotcha.
I've
First,
had a unique ride, man.
no,
To say the least. I can go down each one of those categories in a deep dark hole and talk for hours if you want me
look, we actually we have as much time as you want to. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, and any of the lessons that you want to pick out, like again, this is the heartbeat of this show is a little bit different than some of the other shows.
to. Yeah.
It's really to get into those dark holes and tell some of the stories that will really help some of the people either in the business or some of the people that will be in the business in the future. But to go in a direction, how about first car, first track?
Oh, first race car, first racetrack. I still own the race car. It's a double B fuel altered. It has a blown big block Chevy in it, and it was the first thing I bought, and mainly because it was only car I could find I could fit in, right? The cage is 23 inches wide. I wanted something front engine. I wanted something that had a supercharger on it, so it's what I bought. And I still own it. It's still sitting in my shop right now. I'll never sell it. I'm not that much of a sentimental guy in terms of material items, but that certainly carries a lot of memories for me. So I'll never sell it. You know, it's not worth anything anyway. It's only worth something to me. You know,
Hmm.
it's really not much of a race car, but it means everything to me. So that was my, you know, my first baby. And up until that point, you know, I really hadn't, you know, I've been around mechanics my whole life, and I had driven other fast street cars and stuff like that, but I'd really never truly been a competitive drag racer at all, right? I mean, zero, none. So when I buy this race car, you got to know the whole world thought I was nuts, right? Oh, he can't drive that thing. He's got no business doing that. You know, he's 260 pounds. How's he going to fit in there? And he can't do this and he can't do that. Well, just so the world knows, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to, if I want to do it, I'll find a way to prove the world wrong. That's how I am, right? So don't ever tell me I can't do something, because I'll figure it out. And so I did. And, you know, along the way, you know, within the first few runs I made in the car, a lot of people that have a lot more experience than me and said that you're a natural. You can drive a race car. You're pretty darn good at it. And so that's the beginning of the story. And you know, it's not the best race car, and it's an ill handling thing. And when I bought it, it had a whole lot of problems that we worked through over a lot of years to be able to make it a car that I finally put in the winner's circle. And and we won a lot of rounds, and we had a lot of fun and created a lot of memories, and I still got it. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. And you use the word we. Who were some of the we's there?
You know, a lot of friends, family members, you know, my dad, my uncle, you know, just really my dad, my uncle, my friend Jared, the guy named Dean Gear, you know, those are the people who really helped me. And then the people I was racing with along the way, you know, guys like Gail Jenkins and Dave Schaefer, and a lot of characters, you know what I mean? A lot of real deal characters. George Allowell, you know, people that I really still to this day stay in touch with, and I still love them, and I do anything in the world for them. It's really cool.
Gotcha. And which tracks?
Oh, so track, same track I grew up at. You know, I've been going to the racetracks. I don't know, probably just beyond infancy, probably when I was walking in that Central Illinois Dragway in Havana, Illinois. I still have a lot of personal interest in it, and I try to do my best to go back there every year. Unfortunately, this year I couldn't find my way there, and so a big thing for my schedule next year is for me to find a way to get there and burn some nitro there. And I'm gonna
Gotcha.
make it happen. I'll figure it out.
Well, to have this story like go in timeline order,
Yeah,
you get to choose whether or not here we talk about racing, entrepreneurship, or
yeah.
bodybuilding, or something personal. Like what sort of happened all around the same time?
What do you mean all at the same time?
Oh well, around the first your first car, like you
Oh,
know, tell us about like what were you doing as an entrepreneur? What were you doing as
oh yeah.
a power lifter at that point?
It's a great question. So, what really led me into competitive drag racing was a couple things. Story goes, you know, I progressed very quickly in powerlifting. So, at a young age, at 23, 24, 25, I was competing at a level with a lot of guys that were in their early 30s, which in strength sports, that's kind of when you peak out, right? Between 28 and 35 is kind of your peak years. So, but I was as strong as them when I was in my early mid 20s. So what happened through those years is a lot of guys that I was competing against, I saw their bodies start to fail when they got to their mid 30s. And I told myself, you know what? And when I mean fail, I mean fail. I mean, I'm talking like ripping muscles completely off bones, and, you know, ruptured disc and blowing out knees and fake hips and fake shoulders and all this stuff, right?
Right.
So I told myself, I don't want to be them. So I'm going to go out my way. I'm going to go out on top. I'm going to choose when I'm done competing. And that's what I did. And I was 26 years old. And I went out what I would consider on the top of my game, or maybe not. Maybe if I had continued on, maybe I would have done more. And I probably would have. But I felt like it was the right time because I was still healthy. To this day, I can still run, jump, play basketball, still go to the gym, drive my race car. When the thing's on fire, I know how to get it parked and hop out quick. All those things, I'm still very capable. And so
Right.
I quit what I feel at the right time was. And you know, through that thought process, I had the thought of well, I'm really competitive. What am I going to do? I have to find something to be competitive at. I can't just go from being competitive until what I feel like the day I was born and to just going to work every day. Like, what am I going to
Right.
do? I'm never going to be good at playing pool. I'm not going to be good at playing darts. I'm not going to be good at playing chess or checkers, or that's not my deal. I've always been a kind of like a gruff and tough, kind of a little bit rough around the edges type of hobbyist. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Competitive powerlifter. All this things. So I'm like, well, I grew up around drag racing. I don't know that I can really drive a real deal race car, but I've driven a lot of fast cars. I've never wrecked one. I think I'm gonna give this race car thing a shot, right? I think I'm gonna see if I could drive a race car. Let me see if I'm any good at this. And so I did. And so that time I was living downtown Chicago. I was an executive vice president of a Fortune company. I didn't own a business yet. Um, and so I was running someone else's company, a Fortune company. And so I had the funds, and I started looking for a race car. And because I grew up around a top alcohol funny car, I wanted to drive something of that sort. So I had in my head, okay, an altered, a funny car, front engine dragster, something where the engine's in front of me, and something that's got a supercharger on it, because I've always that's what I know and that's what I love. I think it's the coolest thing on the planet. So that's what I got to have. And so I started looking around, and there was, had a connection there on the south side of Chicago that had a car that my dad had actually worked on in the years past. And it's the one I own now that actually has it's a really wide roll cage. It's 23 inches wide. And at that point in my life, I was 260 to 270 pounds, and my shoulders were super wide, and my arms were big, and my legs were big. Everything was big. So I had to find a car I could fit in. And so during that time period before I found that car, I was going to tracks to people I knew and trying to fit in their race car. And we determined that a 20 or 21 inch wide car, which is your typical size of a race car, roll cage wise, this guy wasn't fitting in it. Right. I was years away. And you don't just make, you know, 15 years of working out go away so you can go drive
Right.
a race car. I could starve myself for months and still weigh 250 pounds at that point. Right. So I found this car, and I immediately bought it and went to work on it, and it took about a month and a half before we could actually get it all sorted out to get it to the racetrack. And yeah, I made my first run there right in my home track, Central Illinois Dragway, and did a big old burnout, backed it up, and let it rip, man. I did okay. I mean, I didn't. Many said it didn't look like my first trip in a car like that, and from that point on, the car just taught me lesson after lesson. I'll tell everybody that's the hardest race car I've ever driven, and the thing is ill handling. It's never right. It's never been right. It's just not a good race car is all I'm going to say. It looks pretty and it goes fast when it wants to go, but kind of like a lot of altereds, it's just one of those that handles really ill. And but I'll give the car credit and say that what it did is it taught me a lot of lessons of which I would prefer to have learned in my own race car rather than someone else's,
Right.
or at a much higher level. Like, I'm glad I learned the lesson of knowing what it feels like to shake the tires in that car and getting your foot off the pedal long before I did in the Top Fuel Dragster, if you will, or a fuel funny car. I've driven both, so.
Right.
But
Well,
that's kind of fun.
I'm sure also people see you handling that car and they're like, oh, well, if he could handle that, then it'll be pretty good in just about anything.
Yeah, well, I actually created opportunities for myself like that. As a matter of fact, every driving opportunity I created was related to that car because, everyone knows. I mean, those cars handle ill, and well, if he can drive a 2,000 horsepower fuel alter, it's 120 inches long, and it's got a suspended rear end in it, he could probably drive almost anything. And so, so far so good. I haven't put an egg on my face yet.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about Buddy Hall, the business guy, because at
Yeah.
that point you already said that from title executive VP in a corporate company. So you did pretty well on the corporate side of things before moving into entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about that journey and some of the lessons that you learned there.
Yeah. Well, corporate America wasn't for me. It was good for me during the years I worked there. It taught me all lessons I need to learn. Um, you know, when I say it's not for me, I'm a guy that's going to work 50 to 80 hours a week, whether you tell me to or not. So to tell me I got to be at work on time and all that, you don't got to tell me that, right? So some of the rules and some of the quote unquote regulations in corporate America didn't quite match my lifestyle. But what it did is it gave me the tools I needed to go out into the world and be an entrepreneur. And I'm very thankful for those. But I think that I think for me, what again, I'm repeating myself, but it wasn't me because I don't need a motivator, and I'm very into building and creating, just like I did with my Top Fuel team. You know, I built my own Top Fuel team. I didn't steal a bunch of other people from other Top Fuel teams to build mine. I just found my own guys, right? I just took guys that were mechanics for a living and have worked on a car over here or maybe owned one over here. We put them all together, and here we are today. It's just it's what I did. And so, um, yeah, I mean that led me into entrepreneurship because I was able to build those tools, and then move out on my own. And I've had a lot of successes. I've had a lot of failures. Fortunately for me, I've had more successes than failures, which has led me to being a successful business person. But if you're listening and you're interested in starting a business or you're in business, it's important that you know that we're all human beings that are business owners who are successful, and know that we make mistakes every day. Some are bigger than others. But as long as your successes are greater than your failures, you're always going to be okay. And that's just part of being an entrepreneur, and part of being a leader. I always say that as long as you lead with your heart first, and you are working ethically and honestly, and your intentions are pure, and you have a great product in the right environment, then it's almost impossible to not be successful. And that's just what it is. Right now, I'm in construction, right? And there's construction everywhere. It's just, I can look out my office window here. I'm looking at downtown Dallas, right out my office window, and I can tell you that from this seat, I see 3 job sites that I'm not working on. Okay, but somebody is. There's jobs everywhere. They never stop in construction. So as long as you're in a good, honest business and hire the right people, work hard and lead with your heart, you're always going to be fine. And if you're listening and you're stuck in that corporate America job and you don't like it, I don't know. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Give us a call. I mean, that's what we do. We work to change people's lives. As a matter of fact, our logo kind of says it all. My logo is a depiction of a rising phoenix, because when I opened my company, I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give people opportunities they wouldn't have otherwise. We're going to allow them to make their own schedule, work when they want to work, but we're not going to allow them to fail. And if they want to fail, then they can go somewhere else. People that work for us have to have a great attitude. They have to work hard, and they got to want to win. If that's not what you want, then we're not the company for you. If you want to win, create your own environment, create an opportunity to earn an unlimited amount of income, we're for you.
Good deal. Well, yeah, look, there's never a shameless plug. There's just information, right? Like,
Yeah,
put information
that's
out,
all.
let people
That's
do
what it is, though, man.
what they do. You talked about entrepreneurship and success and failure. Do you mind just not necessarily taking us through the successes and failures, but you went from corporate America to entrepreneurship. Did you go directly to roofing and general contracting, or what was the path?
Directly. It's how it worked out. I had some friends in the industry. They pointed out the opportunity in the industry. I already knew a lot about this kind of stuff, and so it just made sense for me to do it. We were essentially an overnight success, and that's not a brag moment. It's just the truth. I can't do nothing but tell the truth. And from the word go, I did well. It's just all my skills from the past, along with my hustle. We hit the ground running. I left, a great job that had 3 weeks paid vacation a year, and a car allowance or mileage, whatever you want to call it, cell phone, and all the stuff, right? Health insurance, all that stuff. And you got to know, a lot of people around me that love me thought I was nuts, right? Like, wait a minute, you're going to leave that to go do something where you're not sure if you're going to get paid next week? I said, yep, that's what I'm going to do, because I want to build something that I can say I built, not that someone else built. I did it, I did it, and I did it with great people around me, and without them, I couldn't. But I wanted to be able to say that. I wanted to be a builder. I didn't want to be a maintainer.
Yeah.
Maintaining is not my thing. Building's my thing. And so that's what I did. That's what I did. And then we hit the ground running, and I moved down to Dallas, Texas, and I came down here with an F-250, a bed full of the essentials, and my 2 dogs in the back seat. And that's how I did it. That's honest. That's
Believe
that's
you.
the truth. I was so busy. I was so busy in starting my life down here that it went months before I even got furniture, because I didn't even care. I didn't care. I left my race car up there. I said, this is it. I'm going to go there and I'm going to do what I got to do to make myself successful. And I left all distractions behind. The only thing I took were the minimums and my 2 dogs.
Yeah. Well, I have an observation for you, is that you're incredibly self-aware. And that may come off as like people should be, but as being a person who studies people, like I see a lot of people who just like they are not self-aware. Like they're sort of they sort of know what they're interested in. They sort of know what their body can't do, and they sort of whatever. And then they spend a lot of time just trying to figure out what to do with their life. But for you, it seems like you have an intense self-awareness and know where to go and what you'd be best at. Where does that come from? Because that seems to be like a superpower that you have. Where do you get that?
Well, so I definitely know what I'm good at. I definitely know what I'm bad at, right? And that is right. I'm very self-aware. I would, I, two things. So first of all, part of that is a skill that you develop over time whenever you work with people that are good leaders. I can say in my life, I've had a couple people that took me under their wing, and they were very honest with me about who I was and my strengths and weaknesses and helped me open my eyes. When I was younger, sometimes it really hurt my feelings, but now looking back on it, I'm like, man, I'm so thankful for those people, right? The second thing is, I think that there's part of our body that's mechanical, and there's other part that's a spirit, right? There is spirit inside of all of us, regardless of your religious beliefs. We don't want to talk about religion, but we still have a spirit within us. It gives us our character. It gives us our personality. It's who we are. It's not what we are, right? And so I think I was kind of born with some of those things. With all the humility, I say that I was born with the inherent ability to kind of understand my body and understand people and kind of know. I always say I know how to make somebody feel good. Right? I always want to make people smile. If I can go through the day and I can make practically everyone that I sat in front of smile, then I did good. That was it. And so through that comes a lot of self-awareness. Again, I know what I'm really bad at, and I ain't doing any of that. I'll hire people to do that. And I know what I'm really, really good at, and that's what I'm going to focus on every single day when I get out of bed. And so thanks for noticing, because, some people don't notice that. And for those of you listening, if, self-awareness is the key to success in life. If you know what you're great at, if you know what you're bad at, you can focus on your strengths, disregard weakness, or improve weakness if it's required by the game of life, and move forward. And it's also important to have people around you that are honest with you. The worst scenario is to have a bunch of people around you telling you you're great. That's terrible, right? You need people around you to say, hey, buddy, no, bad idea. Or, hey, that's a good idea. Because I can tell you, I have a lot of bad ideas, man. A whole lot of them, Through all my years of doing things, I'm blessed to have people say, oh, no, buddy, no, don't do that, don't do that, right? Because sometimes I leave my heart instead of my head, and that's how it works. And that's why I'm very humble and very honest with people and say, if you work hard and you have more successes and failures, you'll be successful. But most importantly, don't be afraid to surround yourself by people that are better than you at the things that you can't do, or can do things that you can't do, period. And also too, that can be honest with you about your position in life. It's really important. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't take it so well. Somebody would tell me, you can't do that. This is why. I'd be like, well, okay, and I'd have to agree with them. But the older I get, I understand more of why they were that way with me, and the people had a genuine interest in me, and so I'm thankful for that.
Gotcha. Well, I'll ask a question, and it'll be both for the business and for the racing side. You could either answer them one by one or together, however. But take us through. You told us where the racing started and where the business started, and then also told us where they both are now. Can you tell us some of the business milestones along the way and some of the biggest lessons that you learned, and then also some of the racing milestones along the way and some of the biggest lessons?
Yeah, I think for business, it was really being able to afford better help, right? I had to work. When I started, I did everything besides hammer. I did everything. I was the accountant. I was the attorney. I was the sales guy. I scheduled the jobs. I found the subcontractors. Man, I did everything. I built our first website. I did it. Come on, man. Do I look like that in those websites? No, I was a photographer. I did everything. I mean, because that's what I had to do. I didn't have the money to do this, right? So I think a big step for me in my career was being able to finally have enough cash flow in my company where I could pay someone to run the office and pay someone to dial the phones and follow up with customers. And and pay a good leader and then have like someone build our website and have someone come out and do videography and take photos and run our social media because that's what we do. We pay people
Right.
to do that now. But man, when I started, I did it all. Every little thing you can imagine, I did it. And so for me, that was a big step. And we continue to grow. We're looking at the growth of our company over the next 6 to 10 months. We just had some meetings this morning concerning that, and we're gonna have to bring in some more help. We're gonna have to bring in some really talented help to be able to grow with us through those phases, because the projects we have coming up are out of bounds for the leadership I currently have, meaning we don't have enough leaders. So we're gonna have to bring some leaders in and create some new jobs, which we're excited about.
Right. Nice. How about on the racing side?
But it's been interesting. I can tell you that from the very day that I made my very first run in my very first race car, and everyone thought I was crazy, right? I looked at everyone around me and said, you know what? I really like this. Someday, I'm gonna drive a nitro car. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, and I'm gonna eventually get there. It may take 2 years, 10 years, 15 years. I'm gonna get this done, right? I was like the fish that just, the hook sat in, and I'm like, oh man, it got me, and it did. And so on that day, I can't make it up, and I have many that could verify the story that I said that someday I will in fact be driving a nitro car. And then it wasn't but maybe a year or two later, I remember standing on the fence, watching Fuel Funny Car and Top Fuel in Joliet. And I said to my people around me, it was Hot Rod Fuller's mom. She was there with us, and my dad and one of his friends. And I said, someday I'm going to drive one of these. And I remember somebody saying, no way. Come on, get a grip. Okay, I get a grip.
Right.
Look where I'm at now. With all the humility, though, man.
For sure. So where did it start? I know that you drove other cars before buying your team, and like you said, you bought your team. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my opportunities came about through what I feel like bringing the car back to the pit is what I call it. Did a good job at not bouncing cars off walls, and not red lighting, and not putting the car in the sand, and not hitting anybody. So it created opportunities for me, and I think that the next side of it is not only did it create opportunities because I was a good enough driver to be noticed as someone that could bring the car back to the pit, but also I was eager. So I was just asking people, hey, do you know opportunities? Do you need a driver? Do you know somebody that is somebody vacating a seat in a fuel car anytime soon? I'm interested in just constantly searching for opportunities and putting it out there into the world, because I believe that you speak things into existence. I believe that when you talk about things that are positive and you ask questions and you're going for something, if you speak into existence, you're talking to the right people know you're available, and things start to come your way. And they did. Just, like my first ride in a Top Fuel car, came through Terry Haddock, and he knew I was available, right? It just that simple. He knew I was available, and he said, you think you can drive this thing? I said, there's only one way to find out.
Right.
That's my personality. We can find out if I can drive it. Strap me in, bolt me in, pull the wires. We'll find out real quick. And I was able to drive the car. So I think that's a big part of it. If you're a aspiring driver out there, and you're driving a car, and you're looking at moving up to the next level or looking to move up to the highest level, the key is to be the driver that can bring the car back to the pit, be trusted. Don't red light, don't hit the wall, don't put it in the sand, don't overdrive it, don't overdrive cars and blow them up and do all the things that people look at you as being a cowboy, if you will. And put yourself out there as being available to drive a quicker and faster car. I think so critical and so key. And just be nice to people. It ain't that hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just be nice. That's kind of, for a lot of people in motorsports, not just drag racing, that can be an oddity. It can be uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be nice. It's okay to be different. Being nice sometimes out there is different, but it's cool to be different if it's positive.
Yeah. Well, I think also, like you said, put yourself out there, but live a life where people, if there is an opportunity, they don't mind putting you in that opportunity or putting you out, or How did owning a team come about?
Well, I want to do better. And what I know about my life and what I know about myself, because I've built businesses and worked for other people, I knew that driving for someone else wasn't my cup of tea. I knew I'm a builder, I'm a creator, I'm not a maintainer. And so, I got my license in Terry Haddock's car, and he helped me get started. And I knew that that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to be a team owner. I wanted to be in control. I wanted to be in control of my destiny in racing. I wanted to be able to hire the crew I wanted to hire, and put the crew chief in place I wanted to put in place, and buy the supercharger I wanted to buy, and buy the trailer I wanted to have, and all the things, and market how I want to market. And what I mean by that is, if it's your car, you can let the Down Syndrome Partnership in North Texas meet with you, and you can work a deal in one day to raise money for a great cause. And when you're not the owner and you're not the driver, you can't do that. And I want to be in control of things, not in the control freak manner, but be in control, being able to decide my own fate and put people in positions they wouldn't have got otherwise. Provide opportunities for people that would have never gotten them again or gotten them in the first place. And when you own your own team, and it's your car and your truck and your trailer and your parts and all that stuff, you can do that. And that's a big thing for me. Again, I like to be a creator, not a maintainer.
Yeah. So you told us what's next with Vertex. What's next with Buddy Hall Racing?
Man, we're growing this thing. I ain't stopping. No way am I stopping. We're getting a new race car here in the off season. We're going to go ahead and revamp our old race car, put a new front half, back half on it, put a new body on it, new wings on it, and so it'll be basically a brand new race car. So, we'll only be running one that we know of. The amount of races that we're going to race next year are still to be determined. We're working with some great partners that are going to help us determine our budget for next year. And when we go, we want to go all out, man. We want to show up with motors in the trailer, blowers in the trailer, clutches in the trailer, and be able to run with the best in the world. So, because someday we want to be considered to be some of the best in the world, and so we're going to show up that way. So we'll gauge our time and our budget, and we'll decide how many races we're going to do next year. I know what I want to do. I want to be able to provide a full-time job for a few guys and race a full season, and so that way I can stay back here and maintain my business and be at the racetrack on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 20 weekends a year, but be back here in my office at Vertex the majority of the time. And so, believe it or not, me racing full-time and having a budget to race full-time through marketing partners would actually free up more time for me than I would have had this year by running the 7 races that we ran. I know it sounds crazy, but when I'm racing on the budget I'm racing on with the partners I have, it doesn't allow me to hire everything out. I still have to do a lot of the work myself. So, and I'm not lazy. I mean, I'm not only am I own the thing, not only do I drive the race car, I literally sit in the front seat of the semi and drive the thing to the racetrack.
Oh, no way.
I could be potentially the last of the Mohicans. I don't think anybody else does it. I do. I actually love it. It's funny. People are like, why you do that? I grew up in a trucking family. I must have a dozen people who say, dude, I'll drive it anywhere you want to go, man. Just call me. I'll come pick it up. I'm like, no, I kind of want to do it myself. I kind of enjoy it, but I have to work myself out of that if I want to race more, because I need to be here focusing on my business. My business is the number one most important thing in my life outside of my personal life and my relationship with my girlfriend.
Awesome. Well, you did a plug earlier for Vertex, and you talked about speaking things into existence. So what's your plug / speak something into existence for Buddy Hall Racing? Like, how could the community here help?
Well, first of all, I think by now, if anyone has, if anyone's been paying attention to what we're doing, I would say that I'm a program that is always looking to get better. I would say that we're a team, and I'm a team owner that likes to promote the good and do good things for people along the way. And I think that's the type of partner that I want. I want a partner that understands that part of my heart and understands that part of my competitiveness to allow us to go out there and become a really high competitive team, promote drag racing, promote their brand, and promote a lot of goodness. Because, I race from my heart. That's how I have to do it, right? I'm all heart, and that's how I run my businesses too. I'm all heart, man. I never give up. You got to kill me before I'll give up. And so that's the type of partner I need. I need a partner that I can go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner with, and I don't have to act a certain way. I can be me. That's all I can be. I'm not good at being anything else, man. You know what I mean? I have to find that partner that wants to go out there and wants to win, most importantly, that wants to promote a great brand, extremely importantly, and will still allow me to be the guy that wants to do good out there once or twice a year. And what I mean by that, allow me to support something on this planet to raise money for, and that they'll back that and support that, because that's who I am and that's what I want to do. And I know there's somebody out there. There's got to be, man. There's got to be somebody out there that can look at our team and look at myself as a driver and an owner and a promoter and say, you know, they got what it takes. They just need a little bit more financing, and I want to hop on board with those guys. We'll find them. Well,
Nice.
they're out there. They're out there. They may be listening. I don't know. But even if they're not listening, I'm going to eventually find them. I'm a pretty good hunter.
Yeah. Now, well, I love it, and thank you for sharing all the things that you shared today, like from advice standpoint. But I think also some of the biggest things that people will get is just your being, and like you said, your spirit, and learning from your spirit. So appreciate that a ton. We end every show with 13 questions, 13 rounds, called Put Up Your Dukes. It's 13 questions. You get a minute to you probably won. He's JT, he's the winner of Put Up Your Dukes, because I mean no one's going to compete with you there. But 13 questions, 1 minute each, and then that's how we round the show out. So cool. Ready to put up your dukes?
Rock and roll.
All right, let's go. Cool. First question. What is the strength of either Buddy Hall or the industry?
Both are very strong. Drag racing community is, I believe, as strong and as tight knit as ever been. I believe that we're on the cusp of a big growth spurt in drag racing, and you know, I want to be a part of that. You know, I want to be a part of that growth. I want to be a big part of that growth. I want to promote it and be right along there. You know, if you will, putting my strength in, if you will, mentally, physically, emotionally, to be a part of that growth.
Biggest weakness?
Industry or myself?
However you go, wherever you want.
Education. People don't know what the sport's all about. You know, I always say, if people would just come to a drag race, they'll be drag racing fans for life. I've proven that. I've proven that this year. I've brought multiple marketing partners into NHRA Drag Race that have never been a part of it before, and they've never been to a racetrack before, and they're blown away.
Literally.
They're literally blown away. Hey, man, I've taken people to the starting line. I've taken CEOs of beer companies to starting lines, and we come back to the pit, and they're like, dude, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So weakness is in education. More of us need to be out there advocating and getting more people to come to the racetrack, sit in the stands, go in the starting line to see what this thing's all about. Because the last time I checked, there's nothing more American than drag racing. Nothing. It is the ultimate American sport. People say baseball. Baseball didn't start in America. Drag racing did. So if you're listening, put your butt in the seat at an NHRA event. When you see a Top Fuel car or a fuel funding car going on the track, it's impossible for you not to feel like it's one of the coolest things on the planet.
Yeah. The answer may be the same, but what is the biggest opportunity?
Same answer, man. Education. It's the same answer. It's the same weakness is the same as it is opportunity. Get your butt out there. Hey, if you're an owner, you're a driver, you need to do your part in getting new people to come to the racetrack. Build fans, create memories from a lifetime of kids. Hey, I snag up kids all the time that are walking by. And I point at them just like this, and I do this. And I wake up their parent like, you, come here. You know what I mean? I give them the finger like that. And then you can tell they're scared to death. And then I smile at them, give them a handshake, give them a fist bump, and I put them in the car. Because that's the future, right? That's the opportunity. I'm educating little kids by sticking in my race car, having fun with them. I do something else too. I always find junior dragster drivers at the racetrack, and I find out if they have hero cards or whatever, and I have them autograph one to me, right? But hey, look, hey, I want your autograph. Can you sign it? And they most of the time, 95% of them, they know who I am, and they're blown away that a Top Fuel driver asked them for their autograph, and I do it all the time. Hey, I wore a junior dragster's little girl her bracelet all weekend long for at the racetrack. It's what we do. We come on, man. That's where the opportunity's at.
That's where the opportunity is. And thank you for doing that. What's the biggest threat?
Environmentalists. That's all I'm going to say.
Most overrated part about being Buddy Hall?
The lavish lifestyle that I live. No such thing. People think that about me. Dude, I work 8 days a week, man. I'm tired right now, you know? So that's it. That's got to be the one. Yeah, that's it, man. There's no lavish lifestyle, brother. I work my tail off, man. There's grease under my fingernails. I'm on the phone 12, 15 hours a day. Yeah, that's it. That's a misconception for sure.
How about most underrated?
My ability to make things happen. I always find a way to get it done, no matter what.
Biggest mental hurdle?
Mental hurdle? That's tough because I don't believe in that. I don't run my life that way. So I run my mind and my life in a way of that I don't allow those things to go through my head. And when I start to find that something is blocking me, I always find a way around it. I'd have to put some thought into that and come back to you.
Actually, I think the way that you answered it was perfect.
Okay.
How about last thing for the older generation, the people that went and pioneered what we did before us?
Thank you. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for whoever the first person who was who poured nitro in a tank of a supercharged engine. God bless you. You did the right thing. You made the right move. Whoever that was, I don't know who it was. Actually, I'd love to know. I mean, I wonder if anybody knows who was the awesome dude that poured nitromethane in the tank of a supercharged Hemi. I want to know who it was. I love that guy. I don't even know him, but I already love him. I want to give him a big hug and a big kiss.
Actually, you know what? I may know the answer to it. The
Really?
Bandemirs. Well, I don't know off the top of my head, but the Bandemirs wrote a really awesome book about the history of the track, which is also very much the history of drag racing, and it may be in that book. I will ask, and if I get the answer, I'll let you know. But also get that book. It's a great book.
Yeah.
How about one final thing for the younger generation, the people coming up behind us?
Get your butt to the racetrack. Believe there's a ton of opportunity out there. I am one of the youngest Top Fuel owners and drivers out there, and I am not young. You know, I'm a big fan of Cody Crone. You know, the kid's 19 years old, got his Top Fuel license, aspiring. I speak to his dad, and I tell him, man, don't let your kid give up. God bless him. I'd love to see that kid be a team owner before he's 25 years old or sooner. You know, so if you're out there, you're driving a junior dragster, you're driving at your local track, super comp racer, just know that there are tons of opportunities out there. All you got to do is look at the ranks, look at how many drivers there are in the professional categories, and know that if you're willing to get out there, hustle, become a great driver, develop the skills, find the hustle to get out there, be good to people, make people's day, you know, make fans the priority, then you'll be fine.
How about last thing for your peers?
For my peers, thank you for all the lessons. All of y'all continue to teach me lessons on the starting line, lessons in the pits. Thank you. I love. You know, it's funny. Steve Torrance, man, that guy. I don't know what it is, but everywhere he goes, that I qualify number 16, he qualifies number 1. I have raced Steve an erroneous amount of times. It's like, man, I gotta race him again. And so someday, my time will come, and all I'll say the day that I finally get to win against him is thank you. That I'll thank him. I probably won't be able to thank him enough times. I'll have a hard time celebrating before I get out of my car. I'll be yelling thank you, but by the time I get to him, I'll have said thank you 100 times because he's always very nice to me. He's always very supportive of me, and he's taught me so many lessons on the racetrack about winning, because winning's not just about having the quickest, fastest car. You got to know how to win, right? You got to know how to win a drag race. You got to understand the mental game and the whole theory behind drag racing to become a winner. And so for all my peers that I've ever raced against, whether you've taught me lessons at the starting line or on the racetrack and have a conversation with you about pedaling a race car, I also could thank Tony Schumacher. Tony talks to me a lot about my procedures in the car and giving me a lot of tips and tricks that I'm very thankful for, things that I don't think he shares with too many that I'm thankful for. So thanks to those two guys. Steve, I'm coming for you, bro. Coming for you.
He's coming for you.
All the love, man. All love. No hate.
Awesome. Well, I think you earned a bunch of fans here and hopefully some supporters both for your business and the race team, which is also a business. And look, I just want to thank you so much for bringing your spirit and your story and your history and your advice and your lessons here to the racing business. We appreciate you a ton, ladies and gentlemen.
Jason.
Buddy Hall.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Drag Illustrated's The Racing Business. Again, we're brought to you by Drag Illustrated, obviously, but also Racers Club. If you haven't had a chance to go to Racers Club to get your apparel, definitely do so. We'll be back here every Monday. And once again, big shout out to our executive producer, JT Murder Tundra Hudson. See you guys next week. Thank you.